Welcome to a special Soccer Over Gotham World Cup interview. I'm Ruby Pinto, social media creative and host, and I'm also here with producer, editor, and host Gary Gibson. This is an interview we have been wanting to have for a while. There are so many incredible stories in this World Cup, perhaps none better than the Reggae Girlz of Jamaica. To help us tell the story and a little bit about his own is a former Gotham FC interim coach and former Jamaica women's national team coach, Hue Menzies. As you'll find out, there's so many layers to this story, so we cannot wait to tell this story. So, welcome to the show, Hue Menzies. How are you?
I'm great. I want to know how many layers you want. That's what I want to know.
Oh,
But you're right. There's a lot of layers to it.
yeah, we'll take one at a time. We'll get there.
Okay.
But Hugh, we're super excited to talk to you. Like first, I think I do speak for the fans, the players, Cloud9 supporter group, and we just thank you for all that you did for the club last year in your short time here with Gotham. I know last week we talked to Nicole Baxter, and your name got brought up, and immediately she's like, "I love that dude,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah, back. Good kid.
yeah.
Good kid.
Yeah, she is. I know it was not an easy position to be in, and we're definitely going to talk about that briefly later. But I really wanted to get to this interesting and incredible story of the rise of the Reggae Girlz and how you helped build that foundation and the trajectory that they're currently on. And again, I know that your time is limited. You got a big day tomorrow, but I hand the interview over to Ruby. Before I do, I just have one question for you as a starter. I'm just curious, Hugh, of your initial thoughts on the expanded field at the World Cup. So many debutantes and the level that they're playing at. The underdogs are rising. I mean, just this morning, Nigeria took England to penalties, which is just it was unthinkable 4 years ago. So
Incredible.
I'm curious what you think of the growth of this sport and this World Cup itself.
I personally think we even left out some more countries
Oh yeah.
because, and the thing is, the growth is unbelievable. I'd like to see it grow even more
Mm-hmm.
because if you start looking at some of these rosters, you start realizing some of the players are playing at big clubs, and people don't really recognize that, or big leagues, I should say. So, if we if we're talking about growing the game, that's the biggest platform, and we need to use that platform, and I would love to see it grow a little bit more in the next World Cup. But what a World Cup are we watching right now? It's
Yeah.
unbelievable, and it's nice to see that my country is doing well, and we had projected that this was the World Cup we were gonna make. We're gonna be debutants, but we got a little bit of a luck 4 years ago, and it turned out to be great because it just provides some more experience for these players.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And how Gary said, we wanted to talk about the rise of the Reggae Girls. And I wanted to start with Cedella Marley, Bob Marley's daughter, who is also ambassador of the Jamaica's women's national team. What can you tell us about her and her impact in this program?
Well, we wouldn't be having this podcast if it wasn't for Cedella. So let's
Mm-hmm.
make that very clear. Um, when she reached out to me, 2015, 2014. I think it was qualifying for the 15 World Cup. She wanted me to kind of get involved. The first thing she said, "Hugh, this is not you can't get paid. We can't afford you." And I'm like, where do I need to do to help my country? Because that was my main thing. And as you probably, I don't know if you guys do your research, but the main focus for me wasn't the World Cup, was mainly helping women empowerment, and which is a huge factor in my country that we struggle with from a cultural standpoint. And when she came to me and we started talking a little bit about that, it just made me even more want to be more part of the program and try to push that. But Cedella is the pioneer behind everything that we've done, and the program has accomplished so far. Without her, we wouldn't be where we are. To be honest with you, we had to join forces with her to kind of fight through some things with the federation, and she was right there with 2-2, nail and nail with me, and I can honestly say that we wouldn't have got through where we are today without her. So she's a major, major factor in the success they're seeing right now.
And I think Cedella said for her love of soccer came from her father. And she said in the CNN article that had not been for her father. She says her father always told her that he wanted to be a soccer player. She said daddy played every day. She said he would play anywhere. He was on the road. You would find a field. You'd find a team. You play. And her love gave him.
Well, and I'm gonna date myself back a little bit, but when I was around 14 in Kingston, Bob came to our practice, my youth practice, and he drove up in his BMW, and we always thought that
Yeah.
BMW meant Bob Marley and the Wailers, so we thought the car was named after him. But but he rolled up, and I remember him playing, and he wasn't the greatest soccer player. He wasn't technical. I remember him just running though. He was running all over the place, want to get a touch on the ball. And it was kind of ironic back then that you could tell the passion that he had for the game, because he took the time out of his schedule to get a game in. You know what I mean? And with young kids, and he didn't care how small you were or whatever. He'll run over you. But I remember him, and I could see when Cedella came to me and told me about how much her dad loved the game. It definitely resonated back to where I first saw him play, and the passion he had when he rolled out of that BMW. It was unbelievable, because we're in awe that Bob's
Yeah.
already here, and then he started playing, and he totally. I remember him towing the ball, and I'm like, he's not that good of a player, but
I guess the
yeah.
effort counts.
No, he loved it. You could tell. You could tell.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was my next question, like, how did she, like, got in contact with you? But you said she called you up and
Yeah, well, I've been coaching in the States for a while, and we've accomplished some things, and I actually moved from Texas, where I helped build a big club there called Lone Star. So I was we did fairly well, and then my mom got ill, so I moved to Florida to be with her, and then we were playing against. We actually won some state titles here, and the person that I beat, one of the teams I beat, he was close friends with Cedella, and I think he went to her and then just kind of said, "Hey, we just played against a team. It's coached by a Jamaican, and find out that he was part of the U.S. youth system, national team system, and all that." And then she reached out to me. Her people reached out to me. We set up a meeting down in Miami, and I was like, man, I'm going to meet royalty here, because the Marley family is just like God sent, to our culture. So it was kind of ironic, because we met at a Italian restaurant in a mall, and I remember she walking to the restaurant, and a bunch of kiosks and all that, and she just ran over to a kiosk, and like, where did you get all this stuff from? Where did you? It was about the Bob Marley stuff the guy was selling, and she wanted to see all the purchase orders, and she was a
yeah.
businesswoman right away.
Yeah.
And then we got back in our meeting, and she said, 33% of our income comes from lawsuits that we have to file, because people just are selling things black market in our image. So, but right at the bat, it set the tone right away at the
Yeah.
meeting, and it was
Businesswoman.
just a pleasure meeting her, and understanding her vision on what she wanted this program to look like, and I was so happy that I was part of it. And we together we were a good team, and then obviously, look, you can bear that, you can see what we've accomplished.
Yeah. And she said about she said he was a calm person until you see him on the field. And then he turns into a little chihuahua. She says he's lovely. He cares about the girls. He cares about this program, and he cares about football. Just curious how much of that is true, and what does that say for your soccer
Well,
values?
obviously, when when you start coaching, it's in a competitive environment, right? And you want
Yeah.
players to be competitive, and yes, I am. I'm more of an observer away from the field. I observe a lot more. I read body languages. I do a little bit more observing than anything else than speaking. But when it gets to the heat of the battle and the competitive nature and the teaching components of trying to help these athletes in front of me, yeah, I do become the a coach, so to speak. And obviously, when you're in a teaching environment, you have to show the passion and so forth. So yes, she is correct.
Yeah, but so when you saw the state of the team, what were your initial thoughts and the plan of action?
So that's a funny story. So so they were trying to qualify for the 2015 World Cup, and they were coached by a coach called Maron Gordon, and they came up to Orlando. We actually had a place for them to stay. We had our facilities for them to train on because they were lacking funds, right? So we kind of hosted them, and so I went over there, and first of all, they didn't have shoes, they didn't have sports bras, they didn't have anything. So with our contacts with Nike and just a few colleges in the area, I made some phone calls, and the next day, people are shipping stuff in and shoes and everything that we needed to get for them. And that's when I just fell in love. That I had to do something with this program. Then we get on the field, and you could tell some of the technical abilities of individual, but the work ethic was poor, very poor. Not to par. Based on their athleticism, they weren't fit. They weren't. One or two of them was playing in Russia at the time, and one was playing in Israel, and so it was a long way to go. And I was trying to be nice about things and trying to communicate with Cedella, who they just finished. I think at the time they lost to Trinidad in the finals of the Caribbean Cup, 2-1. So they're on a little bit of a high, and I didn't want to really burst their bubble, so to speak. So because I just looking at the talent pool, it was the talent was there, but it's just the work ethic wasn't. But anyway, they went on. I didn't get through to the qualifiers, and then she after that came to me and said, "Hey, do you really want to do this? Like, seriously want to be the head coach?" And I said, I said that I'm gonna have to revamp the program, and it's just not where it needs to be. And she was like, "Really?" Because she got attached to some of those players,
Yeah.
and all that. And I said, "Yeah, we're really gonna have to revamp." And it caused a little bit of a friction because it's she got attached to some of those players, and she didn't know the level, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what we did, we went down to Jamaica, and I'll never forget this. I took my strength coach, and this guy's the one that really changed our program. Will Hitzelberger, he's now the fitness guy that's with the team right now, and Will does my club here. He has a company here, a gym here called Spectrum, and it's unbelievable. Our club goes to it. So I took Will down with me, and that was his first time going to Jamaica. He think he's Jamaican now, so but I'm trying to. But yeah, he eats more oxtail than anybody else I know. But yeah, so we went down there, and I remember we brought the team out, and obviously it was big news. New coach coming in, the media and all that. So we ran the beep test, and and they've never done a beep test. There was a couple players that played in college that was here, and so they were familiar with it. And so I told them they got to run this beep test, and we had about 27 players in camp, and and we start running the beep test, and so we knew the USA average at the time was around 48 on the beep test, and so um, so we figured if we get some in the 30s, we may be okay. So at about 12, they're 12 in, they're going, they started, and about on the 12th one of them dropped out, and we didn't say anything, because beep test is you kind of see who can get to the end of things. So I think they recognized that I wasn't upset that she dropped out early, so everybody started dropping out, right? And I'm sitting there, and Will knows me, so he thought I was gonna just blow a gasket, right? And, and I'm just watching them drop, and there was one girl who was a Rhodes Scholar at the time. She was playing on the team, from Jamaica, very smart girl, Sharona Forrester. She was running. She a little fit, real fit. She kept going, and there was another kid from the U.S., Chinelu Asha, and they I think the third person dropped out at around 21, and then they went by themselves up to about 34. Okay, so after we were finished, and it was over, we actually did a session, and at the end of the session, I just looked at the two players and said, "All right, you two are the only ones I'm going to pick for the team." And they all looked at me, and Jamaica went ballistic because I just cut the entire team. And I told them I want to focus on the young players,
Yeah.
and the Bunny Shaws of the world, and all of these Kanye Plumbers and Denisha Blackwood. They were on the younger youth team. So I walk into the federation office to let them know, and they said, "You know what? By the way, we're gonna put the program on dormant. The program right now, the women's national team program."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" So at the time I was a little upset. I felt like I was set up with this whole thing. And we come down there, and now the program has been dormant for 2 years. They're going to dormant for 2 years.
So this
So
was this was around 2015?
2016, yeah.
Okay.
And then so we actually it turned out to be a blessing because the youth teams are still active. And so what we started to do is get more familiar with the youth teams, and then we start getting those players out of Jamaica because there was no league, no domestic league for them to play in. They were playing in the high schools, which is high school is high school, but and it's only a 2-3 month league. So we start plucking them out, sending them to college, junior colleges, sending them to boarding schools and try getting them out. And because I knew somewhere down the line, FIFA is gonna come knocking and say, "Hey, we gotta start qualifying." And
Yep.
so we sat down with Cedella and said, "Hey, let's really focus on the young teams." And she was a little bit upset at the time because I just got rid of players that she thought were actual soccer players, and they were good soccer players, but mentality they didn't have it. So we actually start when we heard that we're gonna have a draw of the CONCACAF qualifying. We felt like, you know what, well, we're okay because we were having these backdoor camps at my facilities, and obviously Lauren Donaldson was my assistant at the time, and we were just trying to do it on our own, fund it on our own, and just trying to keep the program, going. The U20 qualifiers were going on, so we had a little team there. U17s. Lauren ended up winning the Caribbean Cup for the U17s, and so we were slowly building it, and then when they decided to go qualify, we drew the three French teams, Haiti, and we had to play them in Haiti, which was if you've ever been to Haiti. I don't know if you have, but playing in Haiti is no joke. And if you sit down with a Tony DeChico or Bruce Arena, they'll tell you what Haiti is about. And it's we talk about when teams are, CONCACAF is probably a easy route for people to go to the World Cup. They're totally a negative there. I mean, playing in that environment, you can't even imagine. All right,
Mm.
and it's not a soccer thing when it comes to playing
Yeah.
in Haiti. It's just a survival thing, so we ended up had to go there for the first round because if and only one gets out of the bracket, and we actually beat Martinique first. No, sorry, Guadalupe first. We beat them like 12-0. And then the next, and it was 4 p.m. on one of the hardest turf you'll
Ooh,
ever be around.
yeah.
And Haiti had all the night games, right? Because they didn't want to play in the heat. And so we played in the heat. And then we actually beat Martinique 4-0, which Haiti beat them 4-0 at the same time. And then we were up watching the Guadalupe game because they were playing them. And they got a penalty kick with like the 89th minute of the game. They were winning 11-0. And they phantom penalty kick came out because if they didn't score 12 goals, then we're ahead of them, right? By a goal.
Okay. Yeah.
So they get a penalty kick, and my God, this little girl in the goal from Guadalupe saved it. And we're like, I told Lauren, I said, Lauren, this might be this might be a sign. I think we may be getting through this first round. So we end up we get ready to go play Haiti um, in Port-au-Prince, and this stadium is about probably holds about 12,000. So we're driving from the hotel, and I realized that we're not on the same route going to the hotel, and I just that we had a chaperone from the Haitian Federation. I looked at him and I said, guys, you guys can't be doing this crap now. I mean, we need to get to the stadium on time because I don't want my team rushing or anything like that because right now you're just playing games. So I called him out, and I plugged in my into my phone directions, and we followed my phone right to the stadium. We got into the middle of Port-au-Prince, and if you've ever driven in Haiti, it's probably a 4-lane road, but there's 8 lanes. There's 8 lanes of cars driving. So we rolled up in there, and I tell you the amount of people that were around the stadium, and then the people that are in the stadium. I would say it was around 30,000 people, and
Wow.
it's a 12,000 seat stadium, and
Yeah.
it's caged in. They have a cage around the stadium,
Okay.
so it's very intimidating. You could probably smell the visitors' locker room a mile away. And so we rolled up in there, and I told my equipment guy, I said, we're not bringing any equipment. We're not bringing. We're just bringing. We're gonna dress in our game stuff at the hotel. We're gonna have the bars that we need, but we don't need anything else. And we had to have another set of uniforms because the type of uniforms our girls were wearing was we was you lose like 10 pounds in the first half, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So we had to carry another set of uniforms, and so that's all we had. We walked in there, we went out and we warmed up. I mean, people were just going nuts, and I told Lauren, I said, Lauren, if we ever pull this thing off, I don't know how we're gonna get out of here. But we're gonna have to figure a way out how
No.
to get out. And and you could tell the fear in our players. It was very
Yeah.
intimidating,
Of
extremely.
course.
We asked them for some ice, and they brought a block of ice, a big block. So we lift the block up, dropped it on the floor to break the ice up, and we had to unsharpen the edges because the eyes because it would little things like that that we were
Yeah.
doing. And so we actually went out. Um they scored first. If you know, they have a couple Dimone, they have a couple really good players. And they scored, and that roar, I'll never forget it. The roar that came out of that stadium when they scored. Um, I was right beside Lauren. He could not hear me. And and then they actually scored again,
Yeah.
2-0, and we're like, crap. I mean, we're gonna lose this damn thing. And I was really, I thought we had more fight in us. And then right before the half, Trudy Carter scored a goal, made it 2-1. And it was very quiet. It was right like 2 minutes before the half. So we went in the locker room, and Ruby and Gary, we did not talk one word about soccer. It's about persevering, what we've done to get to this point, the things that we need to do to represent our country. And we have a saying in Jamaica: "We're little, but we're talawa," meaning that we're a small country, but we have a big fight in us, right? So we went back up there, and I tell you, man, those kids played their hiney up. Bunny got a breakaway. They pulled her down, and we got a free kick. They didn't give a red card because we're in Haiti. Um, so and we accept all that, and Bunny bended her on the wall, made it 2-2. She's running over to the fence and holding our crest. And I'm like, oh my God, go grab Bunny quickly before they flip. Because, you got all these dolls and stuff in the stands, and they're, it's a lot of obia. We call it obia voodoo. So, so we scored about 10 minutes to go. We had one of the young Swabies. This is her first time ever playing for us. She just got back from the USU 20 camp, and she came down there on her own. She had to come late because she was in school, and she was so intimidating. We needed to cap her. We needed to get her capped because the US was about to cap her. And we had the oldest Swabie, so we wanted the younger one. We're 2-2. We just need to get a draw. And so we went in with three. We went back to a 3-5 back, and we slotted her in with she got in about 4 minutes in, and we held it out 2-2. The Haitian team was on the ground crying. We're getting ready to run now. I mean, we're getting ready to get out of there. And my God, the whole stands got up and clapped us.
Oh my God.
Just clapped us, and they were so impressed with the football that we played. And we have a saying within our group now. If you want to make this team, you got to go through that whole deal. If we don't feel you could go through that, you won't make this team. And it was unbelievable, and it was just something that you put so much fear into yourself, and all
Mhm.
of a sudden the thing that you were most scared about rewarded you. And it was definitely an eye opening for us, and we felt like we had something special going here. We went back, and we never played in our country since '06
Mhm.
Wow.
because the federation just refused to have a game with the women. So I told them we're gonna play the Caribbean Cup the next round in Jamaica, and I made a big deal out of it. Cedella backed me on it, and so we ended up getting the first game we had there. We had like 500 people, 35,000 seat stadium, 500 people
Wow.
in
Wow.
Jamaica. So we actually was playing good football. So the former prime minister of Jamaica, he's a football guy. He owned a football team, so he comes out to the game. Edward Siaga, and he comes out and he's like, "Man, they're playing with four back. Their two center backs are wide, outside backs are high. They're playing the right way of football." and he start taking notes, and the radio would go to him and say, "Hey, what do you think?" He said, "I'm stop watching the Reggae boys. I'm watching the Reggae girls." The next game
Yes.
we played Bermuda, and we had about probably about 4,000 people. And then we played another game because we had to play 4 games. We had to play Trinidad, which was their independence at the time. So they were fired up, and they scored in the first 2 minutes of the game, come running over them and beating their chest, and then and and we end up beating them 6-1. And so the last game we're playing Cuba, no, the stadium's almost half full.
Okay.
So we wanted to introduce the team to our Jamaican people, and we did that, and they fell in love with us. And then so we started getting a little bit more support from Jamaica, going into things, and then obviously we went down into Colombia to play in a group of games down in South America to kind of see where we were, and we lost two. We lost to Venezuela 2-1. We lost to Costa Rica 2-1 on a late penalty kick. And then we end up beating Colombia 3-1, which is so ironic. We're playing Colombia.
Yeah.
So we end up, and they actually fired the coach right on the spot. I remember that. They came right down. I shook his hand and he said, "Well, they just fired me." And because it's a nation they haven't heard that we actually played football. So we had a kind of a B team really, but we still had Bunny, and she was still in school, college, and all that. So it was a young team we took, and then so we kind of felt like we had a group of girls that we probably could do something, because we weren't sure. We weren't sure where we were at, and then we had the qualifiers in Texas, and we played Canada, and we lost 2-0, and it's the best we ever played defensively. Low block, lines were tight. We lost to Bunny, missed 2 sitters, and then we had to play Costa Rica, and who we've had a little bit of history in the youth side with the coach, so it was a little bit of an animosity going on, and we were 0-0 at the half, and Bunny was awful, and I tore into her at halftime. Just got into her. She comes out and she scores at 2 minutes to go in the half. Right? She scores a goal. And if you know, look back, and I subbed her off because we wanted, obviously we have another game to play. I subbed her off, and the expression on her face was like she was about to kill me, right? And she was, and I'm in deep down in myself, I'm smiling, right? Because she got the goal that we won 1-0, and then we went and beat Cuba, and then we went up to Dallas. Then we had to play the U.S. and Panama, and it was around 80 something degrees in McAllen, Texas, and up in Dallas it was 40 degrees and raining. And we didn't have no sweats. The federation didn't give us any sweats. They ran out of money because they didn't think we would have qualified for the next round.
Nice.
So I had to, they call me Mr. Swiper. That's what. So we had to get our stuff. We had, up to Dallas, and then we pulled it off, man. We didn't. We knew we weren't going to beat the U.S., so we kind of held back on a lot of the players. And then we knew Panama was the game that we needed to win. And and the crazy thing, when we got to Dallas, we got there late. We're getting ready to eat at the hotel, and we realized they're speaking Spanish to us, and they're, and all this, and the food's not what we requested.
Yeah.
And the manager came to me and she said, I went to the manager. I said, "What the heck is this?" She said, "Well, aren't you Costa Rica?" They thought we were Costa Rica. So I went back to the team and I said, "You know what? We're going to qualify for this World Cup." So we get no respect. and it was kind of it was just a great journey, and obviously we the rest is history. But that's the tale of it, and we figured that we would have probably not getting the first World Cup, but the kids just felt, got right through all that adversity, and just it became a must for them, and the extra effort, and we've done. And the crazy thing in that game, I know if you guys remember, I switched the goalkeepers right in
Hmm.
for the PKs, because we simulated the whole PK thing. The girl that hit the PK in that game, she actually missed it in the training session,
Oh,
and she wouldn't leave the park that we were in. We're supposed to train in a dome, and the rain just stopped. And I was like, and Lauren looked at me and said, "We're training outside because it was cold, and we're gonna train outside." And my buddy of mine, who was working at Under Armour at the time, just shipped in some Under Armour stuff for us, and it came right in time. So we trained outside. We simulated the PK. Dom missed hers, because we did all the walk up, everything. She missed hers. And we're going back into the bus. I see her out there. She hit two by herself. Nobody. She hit two right up in the upper 90. And I said, "Lauren, she's taking it." And she's the one that hit the one that we got through to the World Cup. So,
amazing.
it's a great story, and it's like it was meant to be. And everything that's happening right now with the team I'm not surprised.
Exactly. I mean, all the girls and you have helped them like go through all these highs and lows, especially a lot of struggle. And where would you say the program is now and what the future holds? Obviously, they still have they had to create a GoFundMe for this World Cup to get to travel.
Yeah, well, nothing's changed much as far as the
Hmm.
federation's concerned.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it like that, because I've had my fights and struggles with them, and everybody knows my relationship with the federation. Cedella has been there toe to toe with them, and she's stepped up already to help as much as she can. I keep telling her, don't do it, because the more she does it, the more the federation doesn't spend. So, you know, um, they've gone through the adversity, but like when I was over there when they were playing the Brazil game, we're used to adversity. It's like
Yeah.
we still have a game. People are like, "Well, you're going through all this stuff," and the girls are like, "We've been there, done this."
I
This is
mean,
just, we're here to play. We're here to get through. Obviously, the France game was huge for them, set the tone for them, and it's
yeah.
kind of ironic that they got through to the next round without Bunny scoring a goal. So and she didn't play in one of the games, and so we're not. So the depth of the team is there now, and they understand that defense is gonna get them through things. They haven't given up a goal yet in the World Cup. The only team right now that hasn't given up a goal, and so it's been good, and Lauren's got them going, and we the staff that they have are good people, and they're
Yeah.
right on track. They're right on track, and I might be behind the scenes on helping things, but they're the one that are going out in the field and getting it done. So
Yeah. And like you said, they have played Colombia before and their head coach got fired. Now they're gonna play Colombia again. Hopefully the coach doesn't get fired, but how
yeah.
do you describe this team heading into this match with Colombia?
Well, I tell you what, it's not the same Columbia team we played. I tell you that much.
Well, yes.
Back then, I mean, they've added a few pieces. They still have a couple of those young players that are playing in Spain right now. So they're a good team. I was very impressed with them against Germany, because they actually outplayed Germany. I mean, people
Yeah.
think it was an upset, but you have to watch looking at the game. I mean, those two goals were a heck of a goal. I think the first goal was the best goal in the World Cup so far. But I think they're a good team, good side. I mean, they defend well. The goalkeeper, I know the goal. She used to play at University of Miami, so I know who she is, and she's come a long way. She, and she's really held up that group defensively, and then they have this special player up top that the Linda, that is pretty amazing right now, and so we have our work cut
Yeah.
out for us. I mean, it's not an easy go ride for us, but we feel confident, and I know I spoke to Lauren and all that, and spoke to some of the girls, and they just can't wait to get on the pitch and get after it.
And I wanted to, before we let you go, I just have a couple questions about your time at Gotham. And I'm curious, like, how would you describe your time here at Gotham for those couple of months that you were here?
Right.
And like
So
overall positive?
yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Yael reached out to me. I guess they were getting rid of this, the split parts with their the coach that they had, Parkinson. So she said, hey, can you just come in and finish up the season for us, and then we'll reevaluate. If you really want to do this, And I said, well, I'm not. My mom was here at the time. She passed 2 months ago, but she was alive at the time, and I'm like, this is my main focus right now, and getting her through things, and the club. My club is here, and I have good people work for me, so I can get out and leave. That's like what I did with Jamaica. The club still runs itself. So I said, okay, and Nathan is our assistant GM who I coached in Texas. So yeah, Nathan played for me there. So it was tough to say no to those two because they're such good kids,
Yeah.
and I've known Yael through the U19 World Cup team that she played with, and so I told him I'll do it. 2 months, I'll get him 2 months. Went in, it was a little bit. Locker room wasn't what it needs to be at the time. I thought, they were in a little bit of a funk. They had some good players. I thought the roster was pretty good, but it's always, some things you can mend and some things you can't, and it's gonna take somebody coming in and kind of bringing in new faces and get rid of things, and that's what it was going to take. And I came in right before the trading deadline. Um, and the only person that I really felt like we needed to go after, and I give Yael a lot of credit. I was watching the U20 World Cup, and they said, "So which player you really want?" And I pointed at the TV and I said, "Bruninha, the captain of the Brazilian World Cup team." And they looked at me like, "What?" I said, "By the way, Jill Ellis is down there, so I'll call Jill and see if she knows, find out who the agent is." And I gave Yael and Nathan credit, man. They got it done. Bruninha was here. She wasn't ready. She was unfit. 'Cause it took a while to get her work permit. She came in. Everybody was like, I think you made a mistake. I said, no, I ain't made no mistake here. That kid can play. I'm
Yeah,
just telling you right now, that kid can play. And she's going to be a stellar player in this league.
yeah.
And if you notice, I didn't play her till the last half of the Portland game.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of wondering, they're giving me a lot of stick at you, you're going to play her. But she wasn't ready. Physically, she wasn't ready. And mentally, I mean, coming to a country that you've never been by yourself, you don't speak the language, you get put in a room. It was Pickett was her roommate, and she just got traded in from Kansas. And the kid was just, I was upset with the league because there's nothing layout for these kids coming in and to transition. And I made it very clear to the league that they need to have something in place to help us to transition these kids, whether it's translators or, and it's probably up to the club, but you need to put restrictions on the club to get that done then. So I made it very clear that we needed to do a better job of transitioning these players. So, man, she came out to training. She was god awful, to be honest with you. The first day, I remember Becky Tweed looking at me like, Yeah, I'm like, Becky, let me tell you something. You just got back from the U20 World Cup because she was the assistant coach.
Yeah.
And I said, this kid can play. I'm telling you, I saw on dang TV, this kid can flat up. And she's the captain of the U20 Brazilian team. And that's not an easy thing to handle. So we waited, and I was patient about it. Everybody was eager for her to play right away, and I didn't feel like she was ready yet. And what a half she had in Portland. She did a little spin move, and everybody was like,
Yeah.
wow, and,
Uh-huh.
wowing and all this. But I knew deep down the kid could play. She got better every training session. She felt more comfortable. I didn't know it was Portuguese at the time. The only thing I knew was Buddha Bang, So I would thumb up at me, and she was getting happier and happier, and she's gonna be a stellar player for that league. And she made the Brazil team, but she didn't get to play. And I could see, it's a little bit more seniority in national teams, but she's gonna be a heck of a player. And Carlos came in, and it made it a lot easier for him to kind of, he had to make the changes. We had a long conversation about the team. And he's a great coach, great understanding of the game, understanding of the league. Is so I'm so impressed with him that he's learned the league so quickly, because it's not the same like in England or in Spain. It's a little different. But and then Hack his assistant is the same assistant with the Jamaica team. So I knew Hack worked for me down here in Florida. So we kind of, we have, we've helped the process there, and Yael and those ownership group are good people. They want, and I honestly told them, I said, hey, this league, if you guys do it right, and if you follow that Korean lady down in Washington, the way she's handling her business, this league could be fantastic, because she's the ultimate ownership, that we have in that league, and she's gonna make sure that this league is successful. So, and I honestly think that from top to bottom, it could be the best league in the world, without a doubt.
You touched on this a little bit in your answer, but that last game at Red Bull Arena was one of my favorite sporting moments that I've been to. It was incredible
Well,
to go down, to go down 3-1, to come all the way back.
what's ironic was, and I mean, you guys know Ashlyn Harris, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashlyn comes in, and she wanted to play in the game, and I'm like, Ashlyn, we're not doing that. We're not gonna do that. She was coming back from her knee injury, and
Uh,
Yeah.
and she wanted to play, and Ali looked at me, Ali Kriegs, and she's like, and I'm like, we ain't doing this. I want her to have a conscience about this whole process of whether she wants to be a pro or not, continually, because I think there's Asher brings a whole lot of value to the game.
mhm.
So she comes in, and she's like, Q, you know what just happened? They're painting our locker room. They're getting ready to celebrate the shield. And
Ooh.
they brought
Yeah.
all their sponsors. They brought all these people. And this is F this, F that. I'm like, Ashton, slow down. I know you're upset. But we're not. We're gonna fight through this game. All right. And and when I'm going back in the locker room, I'm gonna make it motivational. We're gonna use that as one of our deals to get them going. And sure enough, man, the girls go out there, and they went out. They got after it. I remember Ali was there. Ali wanted to. She wanted to. Ali, a midfielder.
Oh, Ali Long.
Ali Long. Ali Long wanted to play too, because she was back in action training after the kids. And she was nipping at my ears, and I was like, "No, you guys just sit back and cheer, and let's see how this thing will." And to be honest with you, we from the Seattle game that we played up in Seattle to that point, we were playing good football. The game
Mhm.
against Courage, Dabino was just special. All right, I will give her that. but we were playing decent football. It wasn't the same football that I sat there and watched the first 20 minutes of in Seattle because I was fuming. I was just like, this is not even close to soccer. So we transitioned and played good. And a lot of the teams that we played, the results were much better on the second go around. We just was unlucky. I mean, losing 1-0 penalty kicks, 2 games in that Seattle. I thought we outplayed Seattle, but we gave up a PK at the end. And then same thing with the Courage game. We gave up a penalty kick again. So but we were playing. We're trying to. I will give the young ladies credit that they adopted to the style of play because I'm not a person to kick the ball down the field. I like to play through layers and they adopted it and they wanted to do that. They wanted to do that. They just weren't doing it. And that game just showed a lot of their class. That
Mhm.
last game, and Gary, you said it was one of your better moments in sport,
Yeah,
and it's probably was one of
incredible.
my highlights of sport.
Yeah,
Just the whole demeanor, what happened in that locker room at the halftime, and them coming out and just getting after it, and Zaboni was just a woman, in the middle of the park that
yeah,
she really didn't want to lose. And you just good professional players, man.
yeah.
The older players, I would give them a lot of credit, and look at what they're doing now. A lot of it, obviously, they Carlos made some changes, and I'm so happy for them and what they're doing. So
One last question before we let you go. I'm just curious your thoughts on getting to coach Ali Krieger and what her legacy is within the sport.
well, I've been coaching for a long time now, and you kind of pick some of your players out as you go through your coaching career, and Ali is one of them that
Hmm.
you'll never forget because she just makes you a better coach. She listens, she comprehends well. You could totally see that her dad was a coach because her dad coached her in club, and I actually coached against her dad and her in youth. So it was a long time. But what a professional, and she was here in Orlando before
Yeah.
they went up there. So, and I've known Ashlyn from since she's a kid. So been around, never been around Ali as much, but I've been around Ashlyn. But what a professional player, and she's gonna leave the game. Obviously, she's won a World Cup, and I'm not sure she won 2 World Cups, but I can't remember.
Two,
Two, she won
15
both.
and
Was she
19.
was she on the 15? Yeah, but Kriegs is consummate pro. I mean, I know this is her last year. I still think she's got another year in her, but
We all
you
do.
know, yeah, but she's got a family now, and she's got way other things, more important things. I think she needs to focus on. But yeah, you're talking about one of those players that you just this is why you do this business. You want to go to training to see her. You want to sit down with her and film. You want to pick her brain on things, and she's so honest. She's so deliberate. You know what I mean? In a very casual way, but she's correct. And she got put up with Ashlyn too, so I give her a lot of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I got a lot of love for her, man. A lot of love.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, sadly, we come to the end of our interview. We thank you, Hugh, for taking the time to speak with us. A big day tomorrow as Jamaica faces off Colombia at 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Good luck to them. You have all our support from me, from Gary, all the fans. We all rooting for Jamaica to win this. So let's go, Jamaica.
All right, as we say in Jamaica, enough respect.
Yes. So for the fans, we'll be back soon, Thursday or Friday, covering the Courage and Pride Challenge Cup matches and the last U.S. Women's National Team game against Sweden, and with our best friend of the show, Jenna Tonelli. First up, we are ready to root for the Reggae Girls Jamaica tomorrow. Are you ready for this game, Hugh?
You better believe it, man. I don't think I'm going to bed. But, we've
Yes.
already created history, and I want to see more history. And I'm just
Yes.
so proud of Lauren and his group, and what Cedella has built for us and the country itself. So I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously, people think if we lose tonight, lose tomorrow, we failed. And for us, we feel like we fail, but because we feel that we're so confident that we can do it, and we've gone through so many hurdles. But we've done a lot. We've accomplished a lot, and I think the sky's the limit for that group. So I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right,
Yes.
I really appreciate your support too.
You're welcome. Let's go.